Hey guys,
welcome back to our channel,
Plots with a Twist,
where we discuss books,
amongst other things. And it's been a hot little minute.
But we're back.
What Tiffany say? I heard it on the read. I've been on pause, but I'm about to press mother effing play again. So yes, we are returning. We had some things going on,
Life, y'all know how
life, and so we are pretty much coming back with just a slew of things to chat about.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so I guess we could provide a bit of a life update. It's nothing major.
What you got going on?
Okay, so y'all, it's been so long. I seen The Little Mermaid.
Nah, I seen it. I know, I'm bad.
We saw Beyonce.
We saw Beyonce. Floor seats, baby.
Yeah, and we perpetrated like we bought floor seats. We had a great experience. We got moved. Asked, did we want to move to the floor? And we said yes. Duh.
Right.
So we saw Blue. We saw her do her little dance. We saw it all, but
it was amazing. Go if you haven't gone. If you are able to go.
Yeah, I was considering trying to fly somewhere to go again. Or drive again.
It's that serious. Yeah.
I just don't have no money, and it's a lot of stuff coming up. And it's like, but I would really love to go again. What else happened? That's just the regular stuff. But in our lives, I guess it's just been busy. We've just been busy. Asia got 50 million things going on.
So many. I'm in school. I work 8 jobs. I got 2 kids now. I have a kid. So yeah, it's just a lot. I just got back from Seattle, and yeah, I went to go visit some family out there. So that's the only trip I've taken this year, which is crazy to me. So I haven't gone anywhere, so I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, so those are the highlights of my year so far. Beyonce and going to Seattle.
That's the highlights of your year so far, girl?
I've just been working in school. Like literally, I had started back at my corporate job in January, and I've just been working ever since. So.
Yeah, my oldest started soccer, so that's been.
Oh yeah, they're back in school, right?
Yeah, back in school, started soccer, and he's in more elite soccer now. It's not that. Calm down. And so now he'll be doing tournaments and stuff, and I'm like, that's Saturday and Sunday games.
Oh, so you have to travel too, right? To
we went to Nicola. Who's in Nicola?
Oh, I've always seen it on the sign, but I've never taken that.
And so instead of driving all that way back and forth, we just got a little hotel. So it was a good little experience for the boys. And
nice.
Yeah, so that's the stuff we got going on. So again, nothing major, but we just wanted to let y'all know what's going on before we hop into these books. So I got a whole bunch of books to talk about. So what we're gonna do a 2-part kind of sort of thing, where we're gonna do June and July together. Get those out the way, and then we can plan to do our normal kind of August wrap up and September TBR. So, all right, what you been reading?
Perfect timing because it's September,
right? So,
nothing.
Girl,
I've only read in June and July. I've read. Okay, so that was July. See, I thought we did June for some reason.
We didn't. So you got more books to talk about. Look at you.
Not for real.
I've been reading.
I have one.
I did slow down a little bit in August because I had a lot of stuff going
on.
Okay. So I guess I will be chatting a lot. So just get prepared. Okay. But I didn't take good notes, so you might have to help me look up some of these things.
Okay.
Okay,
so dang, I was slacking, y'all. But in my defense, I'm back in school, and as a middle-aged person going to school, it's a lot. I have to focus a lot more than back in the day. I'm middle-aged. I'm young middle-aged.
Okay, so I will save those. Okay. So, first I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So I have to look at my notes a little bit. So Violet Sortingale, it's a fantasy-based book. She studied her whole life to be a scribe, which is basically like a historian. They keep up with the notes of, their times. But her mother is the general of their, army of their dragon riders. And so, basically it's like an elite thing. It's like they are fighting the griffins and the griffin riders and trying to just protect I don't know if they even called it a realm, just trying to protect their world. And so Violet Violet does not want to be a dragon rider, but of course, her mom is like, you're going to follow my footsteps. You're going to follow your other older sister's footsteps, your older brother footsteps, and you're going to be in a dragon rider. So, she enters dragon rider school, and pretty much at every step of the way, your life is in danger. Like, even from getting into the school itself, it's a task, and people died like on the way there. So like, she's dealing with against odd numbers. She doesn't have the stature or kind of mindset of a dragon rider. Like, she's really small, petite, and just also because her mother is the general. There was an uprising, like a rebellion, and her mother led that charge, and the children of that were allowed to kind of survive. They killed all the parents. The children of that were allowed to survive, and the oldest of them is now in his third year, last year, I guess, of Dragon Rider School. So he's also an imminent threat to Violet. So she has all these things coming at her. Her best friend is there, though. Dane, he's kind of helping her, protect her throughout the steps, and kind of she builds this community within her squad or squadron to kind of help get her to where she needs to be. But Violet, I keep calling her Violent because one of the characters, that was his nickname, her Violence. Yeah. Xaden Ryderson, he was the rebellion leader's son. And so, yeah, he was like her biggest threat, apparently. So basically, she's just trying to prove herself in this. And then Xaden and her are kind of like enemies, but kind of drawn to each other, oddly. So it just goes into just her first year of this dragon school. And ultimately, just different events happen throughout the time she's there. So I really enjoyed the book. I see why it's got a lot of hype. This was one I saw everywhere. That's why I picked it up. It just has a really good, a nice pace and flow. It's not overly fantasy, like in like how it's presented. You definitely are able to quickly grasp what's going on. It's not one of those where it has to build up the world that much. It's one of those where as things are happening, it's explained. So you really just feel like you're, oh, okay, yeah, that's how that works. Yeah, it was just very easy to follow. It had several plot twists that I really enjoyed, and I guess it has like a love kind of story, and I really enjoyed that. It got spicy. So at first I had to look, I was like, I thought this was a young adult book, but no.
It's not.
No. No, I was like, oh my God, they presented this to teenagers, but then I was like, okay, it's an adult book. But other than that, it was really, really enjoyable book. The only dislike I put was more so for the audiobook. It wasn't enough. The narrator didn't change the voices enough, in my opinion. But that wasn't anything major. It was just it was a good book. And I told Asia to read it, so she needs to read it.
It's on my list. It's saved to my script.
Okay. Whew, I'm hot already. Okay, so next I read The Measure by Nikki Erlick. This was on a maybe, but I think one of our subbies said, yeah, go ahead and read it. It's really good. So this one follows events after these mysterious boxes show up on just on the world's doorsteps with everyone's names on it if they're 22 or older, and pretty much no one knows what the contents entail, but eventually people start to decide to open up the box and they see this string and come to realize that this string is a measure of their life. So it's not, it's not like this is how much time you have left. It's like beginning to end. So as they start to come to realization of what this string means, folks, kind of grapple with their decision whether they want to look at this string, what they want to do with this information. And so it goes into that overarching story of just what these strings mean for society and humanity. But it also focuses in on like 4 characters. I tried to write down their name. Nina, Mora, she's Nina's girlfriend. Amy, she's Nina's little sister. And Ben, he's like, Mora goes to like a support group, I think. Was it Mora? One of them go to a support group to help with short stringers, they call it. And Ben goes to that support group. So they're kind of in that together. So they all end up being connected in one way or another. of course, by either family, you know, bonds or whatever, or they end up meeting. And so it just goes into just their lives and the decisions around their viewing their strings or not, and what that means. Events happen where the string conversation becomes politicized. So it creates a very much big divide between short stringers and long stringers and medium stringers. It just becomes an entanglement of strings. But yeah, so that's pretty much what it kind of goes into. So I just put that I liked how the events progressed. I liked how kind of the characters overlapped, so you weren't reading about random people. It was a circle of people, but even random characters still popped up in somebody else's story. And as a reader, you were privy to that, whereas like maybe the characters didn't know, oh, this person was this person and this, that, and the third. So I really enjoyed that, how just everyone kind of overlapped and intermingled. I would like the overall conversation and kind of thought process and symbolism of like these strings and how they impact your life and how you make decisions, how you decide to move after you know what after you're confronted with what, you know, your life will ultimately be. So yeah, I think it was an enjoyable story, very, very kind of interesting. I don't know if I enjoyed the political aspect of it. I get that it was like needed to create some divisiveness because it made the story a little bit more interesting when it came to how people were dealing with their string lengths. But I just feel like I just didn't like it. That's it. It was like, y'all being mean to short stringers. Like, nobody in life like now knows when they're gonna die. So like, why, like, they made it like you can't be hired for certain jobs, or if you are hired, like you can only have a certain string length to be like, it became like, oh, if you're running for president.
Oh, wow.
But like, or like any government jobs and things like that. I just didn't care for that, because at the end of the day, outside of somebody's lifeline, you don't know when that person gonna quit.
Right.
Like, so you gonna not hire me, and the person you gonna hire got a long string, but they gonna quit after a year. Right. So yeah, it was just little stuff like that. It just didn't make me feel good, but maybe that was the point, of course, because it was meant to be like a little bit stirring within the characters. So I'm getting there, girl. Okay. So a book I read with my eyes.
Ooh.
The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So that was one I did say I owned and I haven't read yet. I think that I mentioned that on the video. So I decided to read it on my Kindle, and I read it fairly quickly, making me think, oh, I can still read that. But no, I did another book with my eyes I'll talk about, and it took me forever.
It depends on the book sometimes.
Yeah. So this one, Avery Grabs, she's like a high schooler. She's doing her best to finish school. She's trying to earn a scholarship so she could just go somewhere and be good at life. She's had like some tough times coming up, and pretty much just wants to get on and get out. But her plans are abruptly disrupted when one of the heirs to the Hawthorne fortune, or his grandson, Tobias Hawthorne, he's like a multi-billionaire based in Texas. One of his grandsons shows up at her school and basically demands that he comes with her. So she's like, okay, what is this about? Turns out she's listed in Tobias Hawthorne's will. So the family, she meets all the motley crew of the family and all this, and they're confused as to her presence, and they couldn't read the will until she arrived, based on, you know, the Tobias Hawthorne's instructions. So she gets there, she finds out what the family is left, including what's left to her, which is pretty much almost the entirety of the Hawthorne estate. So she becomes an instant billionaire pretty much, right? But well, not instant, because some of the stipulations entail that she has to stay at the Hawthorne house or mansion for a year to earn the estate completely. So she goes on a whirlwind of just becoming this new person. She gets all this media attention, all this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, the family is grappling with why she was chosen and what connection does she have to Hawthorne, Tobias Hawthorne. So the four grandsons, one of them is not really interested in it, but the grandfather, he used to like play games with them, and they think the whole thing with her being involved is his long game, pretty much. And he's left behind like some clues and riddles for them to resolve, left them each notes that entailed riddles, and she kind of gets involved with trying to help them solve, because she wants to understand why she was chosen. In the midst of that, she becomes closer to the middle siblings, you know, Grayson and I can't remember the other one name. But she's drawn to them, but also her life is kind of in danger as threats kind of loom under the surface. So yeah, that's really what it's about. Okay. So I think the story was interesting enough for me to finish it. I stayed engaged. Interesting concept. I think the overarching plot was interesting. So I think if you want to read it, try it. It is a series, so I'm kind of like, why did I do this to myself?
How
but
many books in the series
I think
so far?
it's 3.
Okay.
I think it's 3. It's like Hawthorne Legacy, and I can't remember, Gambler. I don't know. I don't know. But I do want to go ahead and finish the series, so it's interesting enough for me to at least do that. I did not like the romantic tension. It just wasn't palatable. Or palpable, that's the word, palpable enough for me. It just wasn't, it was just like mentioned. I mean, it wasn't mentioned. It's just like, oh, he likes her, she likes him, he likes her, she likes him, this, that, and the third. It wasn't like enough for me to like really be invested. Not that it had to be like super intense. I just needed a little bit more to like really be like, okay, she's grappling with this, she's dealing with this, now she has this other guy, and now she has this guy, and it just wasn't there. That's the only thing I didn't like. Also, she has her sister. Her sister is kind of there to help her. She was her storyline was a little distracting to me. But it wasn't bad. Okay, last, and then we can get to the one you read. Yeah. Okay, so Murder Your Employer by McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. Okay, so I can't even remember the character's name because I didn't take notes on this one. Cliff. I want to say his name's Cliff. Let's just say his name is Cliff. He's so the book is presented like it's a guide you're reading. So it's like, hey, you know, reader, this, that, and the third. So it's directed at you as a reader. And so you're reading, it goes into depth on 3 characters, really mainly Cliff, I want to say, and then the other two other women. One is an actress, I can't remember her name, and the other is just also a student at McMaster's. So Cliff, he tries to eliminate his old boss, because his boss basically is a chauvinistic, just not a good boss. He's a jerk. He did all this stuff, and he framed Cliff for doing all this stuff and got him really, you know, people kind of blacklisted from his field. And so Cliff goes on an unsuccessful attempt in his life, but the police catch up with him quickly, and it turns out the police works for McMaster's academy. I don't know, but pretty much it is like a place where people go to learn to successfully eliminate their employer or whoever their target is. So it has these kind of rules. You can't just do it for the sake of doing it. Like, you have to have certain things and da 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 da. So it just follows Cliff mainly as he kind of goes on this journey to learn more about what he should have done, where he went wrong. He has this want to have this connection with another student, but she doesn't seem interested. Herself, she's there, but she they have to present their final thesis of how they plan to complete their mission, their elimination, and she doesn't seem to have that together. Meanwhile, there's this actress woman. She's kind of in disguise, so people don't really know it's her, and she's really good at everything. So pretty much it's just following those 3 students as they kind of learn to complete their thesis, which is killing somebody. It was okay. I mean, I'm not mad I picked it up, but I could have used that time to read something else. Like, it's one of those where it's like, okay, I read that, good, out the way. I don't know what opportunity would have made it more successful, or I don't know what necessarily would have made it more successful. It's not really clicking for me right now because it has been some time, so maybe it's just not a memorable book. It's okay. It was just okay. I can't even say what I disliked about it. It just didn't have enough spark in it for me to really be like celebrating it. But if you pick it up and read it, like, you won't be mad. It's just one of those. Yeah. All right. Yellowface.
The one book I read in was this June.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yellowface by R.F Kuang.
You got a lot of notes. Because I read that earlier.
So Yellowface follows June
Hayward. Yeah. Juniper song.
It follows June Hayward, and she is a writer who's like kind of not. I think she wrote one book and is trying.
You saying literally what I wrote? Got it.
Oh. But she wrote one book and is kind of like looking for her second chance at like being published and being like the big thing. I want to say next big thing, but basically next big writer or whatever. And she has a friend that she's been friends with since college. What's the girl's name? Athena. Who is an Asian young lady who's basically June Hayward is like jealous of, but like kind of like frenemies with, but in her own head, like Athena has no idea that like that's her frenemy, and she kind of has like a love-hate relationship with this girl. What else?
So pretty much one night
they go out to celebrate like Athena's something happened.
She get a Netflix deal.
Yeah, and they go out to celebrate, and June and her are having the time of their life. They're doing a pancake eating contest, and Athena chokes on the pancakes and dies, y'all. She dies while Juniper's like trying to help and watching. She calls the police. June watches her, and like she calls the police. Athena ends up dying. While she's in Athena's apartment, she finds a manuscript to a book that Athena has been working on. And she takes it, right? She takes it, and basically publishes the book as her own. And it changes her name to June Song.
Juniper Song.
Because her middle name, like, is that like her middle name or something?
Like that. Song was her middle. It was something where she was trying to be a little bit more ethnically ambiguous.
Yeah.
Because the book was about like Chinese migrants or something like not even migrants. It was something. Basically, it was something she shouldn't have been writing.
Right, as a white woman.
Right.
But she went ahead and published the book, and with that, it just brings all these different trials to her. She gets the fame that she wants from this book. But then with that, people start looking into her story and like where the story came from. Of course, as a white person writing about this culture and being so deeply enthralled in it, people are starting to like have their doubts about where her story came from, and so the book kind of just goes through that. I'm trying to look at your notes.
Look at her.
So the book kind of just goes through like her trying to basically prove herself as the writer and kind of trying to come up with something after this, and it's kind of like a satire.
Yeah.
Of basically like what a culture vulture would be like, what they would think in their heads while they're writing something, and kind of justifying like what they've done. So yeah, I didn't enjoy the book.
Really?
I think that it was not meant to enjoy though. I think that was the point.
Yeah.
So, but it was just so, not that I didn't enjoy her. The writing was to me very simple, but I think that was to the point of the main character, like
she was annoying.
She was so annoying, and it was hard to read, and it was just like, girl, you cannot be
I said the voice of June was annoying. I know that was the point, but still.
Yeah, it was just like, you cannot be serious. But then again, it's like, yeah, there's people out in this world that really think like that and really go through the world thinking like a Juniper Song, and justifying all their actions and their entitlement with things that like girl, it just doesn't make sense to any normal person.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like, you know, throughout the book, it's from June's perspective, so it's kind of like she has moments where you think like she's about to be like, okay, like maybe she's getting it, which to me is like she's already like too far gone. Like, you stole a dead girl's book. Like, at that point, you're a nut. But she also has moments where she's like, you think like she's going to come to terms and kind of like, you know, come clean, and then she kind of like triples down on what she's doing, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know. It was just too much, and I didn't enjoy it. But I don't think the point was to enjoy it. It was just it was a satire. It was meant to be like distasteful.
So, you know what, it kind of was feeling like it was going down a black book path, where it was like, okay, it was getting out of control.
It was getting out of control.
But yeah. I thought the story was interesting. I thought it just brought up a lot of great questions in regards to just that perspective. Like, how can someone literally think that way and they know what they did?
And just keep going forward and keep doing things and keep piling on to the situation.
But yeah,
just coming clean.
Yeah. I thought the writing was good. I thought it kept you engaged because you did want to see even though you was annoyed by June, you wanted to see everything play out. But I think it could be, you know, kind of said that some things were missing from this book. You definitely kind of was annoyed by June and kind of annoyed by her actions, but definitely you understood that it was meant to highlight, you know, cultural appropriation and the racism and things like that that happened in the publishing industry, and just how maybe those voices are silenced because they're coming through the lens of, you know, someone who doesn't even understand that experience. So I get the overall point. It was just some things that was disconnected, especially when you think about like just how June became the person she is. She referenced her mother, and then when you realize her mother's relationship with her, it wasn't even that bad, like in my perspective. But it's kind of, again, June has this victim mentality, and that's kind of playing out in all realms of her world, which again, it's kind of the point of the story. So you can be on, it's a polarizing book for sure. You can be on either side of the fence with it, but I think overall it is an interesting book.
Yeah. It's definitely not what I thought it was going to end up being.
Yeah. It is an interesting book, but you might like it, you might not. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm going to try to get through July reads quickly.
You have 4 books in July?
Yes, 4. So finally read Akata Woman. That's the third by Nnedi Okorafor. That's the third and I believe final installment of the Akata Witch trilogy, but it might be more. I don't know. I haven't researched it. So it just catches back up with Sunny. She's still studying her juju and all this, that, and the third, and kind of coming off the events of the first 2 and just realizing her power. So in the second one, she was delivered a task because they needed something from somewhere to complete the task in the second book. So now she is asked to return that thing that she took, but now it's in this other deeper realm that she's never been to, but she has the ability to go to. Of course, she enlists the helps of her friends, and they go on this journey to kind of help restore what this great and powerful deity or person or spirit wants from her. And she, you know, finds more stuff out about herself that she didn't even know. So I'll just keep it simplistic because I kind of want to get through this one. I enjoyed it. It wasn't super exciting like the first one. The second one, it's kind of like it's boom and it's like kind of coming back down, but the third one isn't horrible. Like, it just doesn't have that same tension and that same those same climactic moments that the first 2 have, but I don't think it was meant to. I struggle sometimes with her writing in regards to how she progresses events. It seems like things kind of jump from here to there, and you kind of like, wait, what? She did what? Okay, how did she get over to that side of the room? And you kind of have to reread. I don't know. It just doesn't flow as smoothly. Maybe it just didn't flow as smoothly in this one. But I guess I noticed moments like that in the first 2. So I just think it was just not seamless for me to really get lost in the story at times. But overall, I mean, it wrapped up. I'm thinking it wrapped up the series. I don't know. I think it wrapped up pretty decently. So yeah, I was just trying to be done with the series because I've started several series that I have not finished. So, all right. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So Asia was ranting and raving about how it's so much better than Happy Place. Oh my God.
I liked it better than Happy Place.
So I had not read Book Lovers, so I went ahead and read it. So, I can't remember their names. You remember their names?
I don't know.
So 2 people, a guy and a girl. She's she's an agent. She's a literary agent. She's trying to get one of her author's books with this well-known editor, editor, right? He's an editor. So they have like a not good first impression meeting. She turns up late, but she literally had just got off the phone with her boyfriend, her then boyfriend,
Charlie.
Nora and Charlie.
Basic names.
Yeah. So she had got off the phone with her then boyfriend. They had just broke up and just, kind of didn't set the stage for a good first interaction for them both. And then, so pretty much one of his things about why he didn't want to take on the book was that the book wasn't believable, and the setting that the author had, that's not realistic, that's not a real place, this, that, and the third. So just kind of tore the book apart and tried to get Nora to admit that that wasn't the author's best work. But Nora was like, with the right editor, you can unlock literally the charm in this book. It has the foundation. So they agreed to disagree, but this ensued like this little snarky relationship via email because Nora, I think she drank too much or something and just started responding to him, and they just kind of, but they left that there. It didn't go anywhere at that moment. Nora herself is kind of like I'm a empty the tank for everybody else, but it makes me look like, a B word, I'm going to do what I need to do for you, and I don't care how I get it done because I'm doing this for you. I'm heavily invested in you. So she's kind of perceived a certain way. So her sister, recognizing that she needs to kind of a break, she's always on go, trying to take care of everybody else. Her sister's like, hey, I really enjoyed the book that you got published, because the book ends up getting published. It ends up getting turned into a movie. And so, didn't it get turned into a movie?
The book? I can't remember.
I want to say it did. I don't know. I might be lying. But her sister takes her on a trip to the town that the book is placed in. And so Nora runs into Charlie in that town and like, what is he doing here? And this, that, and the third. And he trashed this town. But then they end up, kind of realizing both of them was there, connecting. And she finds out that he actually is from that town. So that's why he didn't want a book published about it, because he knew the realities of that particular place. But then they kind of start this, it's a romance. So they kind of start this, a little bit of this will they, won't they, but do they make sense? Nora is very driven. She's very ambitious, and she has things she has to get done. And he's kind of being pulled in other directions, but he's also a driven person trying to get things done. And so both of them kind of attack each other, not in a negative way, but attack and go at it like how they would work. We're going to make this work, but then it's like, it's not going to work because we also have these other things that we have to commit to. So you get to a point where it's like, will this work actually for them? Will this be successful? Are they going to be able to maintain and keep this relationship? Okay. So I wrote, I like the literary aspects of it. There was a lot of references to tropes, and it itself was a trope. I like some of the journey the character was on, and you were on with them as you were reading the book. So everything seemed to align. That's what I wrote. That's the only thing I wrote. I enjoyed the book. I did. I think I just enjoyed Emily Henry's writing. She gives you enough to make you invested in the characters, and just gives a good story overall. It's yes, I said with Happy Place, there's some similarities between like quips with the character and like character traits with the characters, but it's not anything that just was like, oh my God, here we go, another one. You still are interested in who they are and what they have going on, and the outer layers of everything that's going on makes it different enough where you're not reading the same story over and over again. I still enjoy Happy Place more. So that's just my 2 cents. I just liked how that was presented. Whatever, but I think Book Lovers is really good. So, okay. Did you read The Perfect Marriage?
More than halfway through.
Okay. So The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose. Picked that up because I saw it circulating. And I was like, why is it circulating? This is an older book. I mean, I guess not old, but it's been out for a little minute. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, it's about to be a movie or a show or something. I think so. You know, when things like that, because I knew I had seen this a while ago, and I'm like,
it's not even all that. I ain't finished it, but
okay. So, okay. I really have to dig deep to remember this one. Okay. So, no, I got it. So, pretty much, this woman and this man, they married. I can't remember characters' names. They're married, and they have this quasi perfect marriage where she's really successful. She's a successful defense lawyer based in the like DC area, and he's a writer. So he had some stuff that was published, but just looking for a good hit on under his belt when it comes to his writing. And so she pretty much gives him what he wants to help him with that process, you know, because she's trying to maintain the peace and keep everything together for them. So she buys him this cabin out in like Virginia, I don't know, out in the country to help with his writing process. So she hasn't gone to the cabin. She doesn't want, you know, that's not her scene, but she, you know, can appreciate that he is like to escape there. And he's oftentimes invited her out there. So it's their 10th anniversary coming up. She buys him this expensive watch. She tells him she's going to come to the cabin, but she ends up not coming. And so he's like, okay, well, I'll come home to you. But turns out the cabin is also a love nest for him and his mistress. So he's out there with his mistress. She's in a situation that also, I think, married. And so they kind of use each other as an escape. And so he is in love with this woman and grappling with the decision of like kind of leaving his wife. But so he leaves her in bed to you know, asleep, to go meet up with his wife because he slept later than he meant to. So he's like, okay, let me meet her at home since she's not coming out here. And the next day, police come knocking on the door and like, hey, your mistress dead in your bed and you killed her. And he like, no, I didn't. So now the wife is grappling with the decision of whether to defend her husband and ultimately, you know, what that means for their relationship and what comes out in the process of this trial and the discovery period before the trial and everything like that. And so it switches perspectives between the wife and the husband and what they have going on. And as the story progresses, it's things presented that you start to question, you know, was he involved? Is he innocent? What actually happened? I think overall it's an interesting plot. When I read the synopsis, I was like, ooh, this is juicy. When I read the first couple of chapters, I'm like, ooh, this is juicy. But somewhere along the way, it kind of loses you a bit. But it starts to kind of pick back up. So it's kind of like it has some peaks and valleys as you're reading along. I feel like there could have been more juiciness, especially since it started off the gate like that. And it could have been more moments. I don't necessarily need the shock and awe, but just a little bit more oomph at moments would have helped it kind of stay on an even keel throughout. I will say this, the plot twist I did kind of see coming. So the plot twist is not presented till the end. I would have been more interested as well to see the trial process, because that doesn't really go into detail. You get really more of leading up to the trial and after the trial. And the ending was okay. It was okay. It wasn't one that I feel like needs to be made a movie or whatever. I guess not necessarily, but I mean, they're doing it anyway. So you don't like it so far?
I had started it a while ago, but then I stopped it because both of the characters, I was like, please, like they was just the husband was so like insufferable, like for the first couple of chapters. I'm like, are you serious? Like he's so entitled. Then you meet his
very
mom,
entitled,
and you're like, oh, no wonder he acts like that.
That pissed. She kind of made me mad.
She's crazy, and then the wife is also like,
I got this, and it's like, are you dumb? But
are
it's
you
like,
stupid?
You gotta get to the end. You gotta get to the end.
So, and I already feel like I don't know, but anyway.
Okay, last one. Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. Asia told me to read this.
Mind you, I started it and didn't finish it either because the accents took me out. I couldn't do it.
It wasn't that bad.
I might need to read it.
Again, don't remember the character's name. Sorry. So this woman, she's married to this older man. They live out in the country and they have this cute little baby. You know, life is good. He's well off. She used to be a state agent, and but she's kind of a stay-at-home mom and just, you know, kind of living her life as it is. The husband, he has an older daughter that they have an estranged relationship ever since he pretty much agreed to marry the woman. And so she doesn't really have a close connection with her, but randomly the daughter reaches out to say, hey, can I come stay with you? And so now the wife is confronted with, you know, building this relationship with his 20-something-year-old daughter, and introducing her to, you know, now her little sister. And so as she's in the house, as the daughter comes to visit, things start to happen. And so the wife herself has, you know, kind of postpartum a little bit, but not to a point where she feels like, you know, anyone is in danger. But her mom had postpartum that it was like she had hallucinations, things like that. So as the story progresses and things start to happen, it's questionable whether, you know, the wife is in the thralls of postpartum, or is there actually something going on between her and this daughter? The husband, of course, wants to believe that his baby girl, or his oldest daughter now, is a sweet angel. She's been through a lot. She's seen her mother die. And but the wife is finding out more and more to their story as she starts to poke and pry and figure some things out. Because she wants to make sure she's not insane, and two, she's curious as to why this daughter randomly decided to show up after just saying, I'm never talking to you, dad, again, because you married her. So yeah, things start to happen, and pretty much that's what the story goes. It was all right. It was all right. It was another one where I'm not mad I read it, but I was getting a little frustrated with just the circumstances that the wife was in, because at a certain point, husband, you're going to have to believe me. Like, we're not about to battle back and forth, and you're not about to gaslight me and make me feel like I'm just telling you this out of nowhere. Like, this little girl crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, get her out of here. I don't care. Get her out of here. You're supposed to be my man. And don't you care about the safety of our daughter? Like, at a certain point, I was just like, husband, you being annoying. Mm-hmm. But, and the little girl, the daughter, she didn't want a little girl because she was in her 20s. What's wrong with you? So it was just one of those where it was kind of like, but then how it ends is kind of interesting. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed it or not. It was just interesting. Okay.
Whew. Okay, so my one book I read in July was, this is sad I didn't talk about this book, but I feel like I did. Is What Happened. Did you hear about Kitty Karr?
You didn't.
Crystal Paul.
You said you started it and it's not giving. So I don't know if I'm gonna finish that.
I never said that.
You did. That's what you said.
So I finished it and it was good.
Okay.
So it's about this actress who, it starts off with this actress who passes away, and she leaves her full estate to these three young actresses who she was friends. The actress who passed away, she was friends with their parents and lived next door to them, and just had like a close relationship with them. But when she passes away, she leaves like all her money to them, which is kind of weird because they're just like friends and neighbors. and they don't really understand why. And then of course, like, she's like a big deal. Like, think like Marilyn Monroe, the actress who passed away. Like, she's like a big Hollywood siren or whatever when she dies or whatever. And so yeah, she has a lot of money. So of course it's in the papers, and everybody's like, well, why did Kitty Karr leave you guys her inheritance? And the family's just like, listen, we're grieving, like, that's our friend, like, please. But they don't really know why either. So the book, it goes back and forth from Kitty Karr's past, from when she was alive, when she was a little girl, her upbringing, to the present of the girls, the family now. It follows one daughter in particular, I forget her name, but and how she's kind of like dealing with and coming to terms with everything that she's finding out about Kitty Karr and her family. Through the book, it turns out Kitty Karr, it was actually, the girls are black, like the family's black. They're actresses too, but they're all black. And Kitty Karr was a white woman, white actress. Turns out Kitty Karr is actually black, but she had been passed her whole life, and that's not a spoiler. That's like in the part. So, because in the first like chapter, it goes back to Kitty Karr, like, how she came to be, like, in the world, like how she was born, who her parents were, and how she came to pass for a white person and a white actress her whole life. So up until she died. And the book just follows like her relationship with the family, how they find out, and just like Kitty Karr's whole life, and that whole what is it, like, circuit of people who kind of pass for black people who passed for white back in those days. I think like 40s, 50s, somewhere around there. So I enjoyed the book. It was cute. I think it did start off a little slow, and then I also think the ending was a little bit rushed, but the middle was good. It had a lot of substance, the middle part. Kitty's life was very interesting. I think that's something that, I don't know, I guess like a lot of people are starting to explore now with like that movie Passing, and because there's a lot of people, black people from, that time that passed, and it was like a means of survival for them back in the day. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see like the path that Kitty chose, and like the people she met along the way, her friends, she had a sister that the family knew about, and yeah, it was just interesting, like the sacrifices and things that she had to overcome and deal with in her whole life, and then to keep that secret from the time she was a child up until the day she died. So I thought it was good. It was cute. I would recommend, so you should read it.
Okay. All right, y'all, that was a lot, but we wanted to catch you up and get caught up and get these books off our brains. At least off my brain, because details were escaping me. I didn't take good notes. I was just reading, and then I was like, wait, I'm not talking about them. So yeah, it feels good. I feel relieved. So we
all caught up.
Are all caught up. We're gonna meet you back again next week with the rest of our reads. You read stuff for August?
For August, a little bit.
Okay, good. For August and our September TBR. So like this video, let us know what you've been reading, or what you read what you all been doing since we've been gone. Let us know that. Subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll be back next time. Bye.